This is Rich Lieberman. We are live here on YouTube. If you're watching live, welcome aboard. If you are watching at a later date, this is breaking news from one of my sources, and it's somewhat, shall we say, not fantastic, not, on the other hand, not teary eyed, but it's certainly something to which I wanted to come out and tell you and give you more of a backstory. Veteran KCBS anchor Patti Reising, and she's been there multiple decades, one of their senior anchors, is retiring. Her last day is March 27th. This comes from a very, very, very reliable source within the KCBS framework. Somebody who has given me reliable information in the past, many a times. So I'm going with this. Now, I'm not a Patti Rising fan. Thought she did a very, very solid job, and I give her credit because to hang around as long as she did and has, that in and of itself deserves to be something noted for. But I think she saw the handwriting on the wall. What's the handwriting on the wall? Well, Odyssey is in just a total mess. Total mess. And the people that have had quite a lengthy stay, be it through just normal, reporter, anchor, what have you, that's becoming less and less viable. And it's time to go. I'm sure that she has done what she's done. They're not pushing her out, but I understand the way this is being characterized to myself is certainly this is not something she had to do right away, but she saw what's taking place. Look, I didn't even report this. Maybe I did. But a couple days ago, a very respected reporter, sometimes anchor, down in LA at KNX, guy by the name of Charles Feldman, one of the great radio reporters. He was laid off. He was laid off. And while that's not surprising, what is surprising the fact that hardly any hardly any kind of an announcement. Uh, some of the trades noted it, but not a lot. Up here in San Francisco at KCBS, I reported just out of the blue, laid off. And while I was not a big Jeffrey Schaub fan, I noted the fact that he's been here a while, not just at KCBS, covering the North Bay, but he was a reporter at KPIX, the O&O CBS station here. Left there, became the North Bay correspondent up in the Santa Rosa area, for the most part, San Rafael, did occasional anchoring, which he wasn't very good at, so he did pretty much commit himself to North Bay reporting. Well, look, they just, without any kind of heads up, they got rid of him. And I'm not comparing Jeffrey Schaub to Charles Feldman, but Charles Feldman built up quite a following down in Southern California. He, Pete Demetrio, still there at KNX, which I've often complimented. They will, mark my words, they will get several radio awards, industry awards, perhaps even a Pulitzer or a Peabody for their coverage of the LA fires that took place in January. A stellar job, especially by Pete Demetrio. But back to Patti Reising. So once again, here is the headline. Patti Reising, the afternoon anchor on KCBS. Of course, she worked with many of folks there. Recently, she's been working with Brett Burkhart. She worked, of course, with Jeff Bell, who also saw what was coming a few years ago. He told them, "See you later, alligator." And he, out of the blue, took a buyout offer and just retired. Jeffrey Bell did KCBS, notably Odyssey, Entercom, brought in former KGO anchor Brett Burkhart, who's been working the afternoon with Patti Bell, or Patti Bell, I'm sorry, Patti Reising. Patti Reising has primarily been the afternoon drive anchor. Now, this sets up a very, very interesting situation. Who's going to be the replacement? Quite frankly, I don't really have any hunch. I think they might just go to a solo anchorship. They are cost cutting. I mentioned earlier on Monday the idea that's floating within the industry of Cumulus and Odyssey possibly merging, which you can make a lot of jokes about that. Makes a lot of sense. Sometimes these people, these yahoos, whose job it is to manage and to program and to do and look out and execute what most people would call running an operation. They just don't know how to do it. So, given all the economic realities, given the fact that the radio situation is real bad, and most people with half a brain think radio's dead. There's a lot of people out there who have just given up. And whether it's the consumer, whether it's the people who only listen to radio now in their car, perhaps for a traffic report, maybe a sports report. Although at KCBS, one of the people they let go, well, not hardly anybody in the gold standard or even bronze standard, Matt Pittman, shown the door the other day along with Jeffrey Schaub. So it's just becoming a very, very difficult industry. Revenue is way down. Cume is way down. Listenership across all demographics, including obviously the younger demo, which doesn't even happen to be on radio. If you see somebody with a radio these days, take a picture. It might be worth something very soon. Again, folks, it's not just happening in streaming, which is affecting television, which is affecting movies, conventional, let's go out and watch the movies. People are streaming, people are getting their news, obviously, and this has been the case for decades now, through the internet, through their phones. And that has affected radio, particularly what they call terrestrial radio. And look what's happened to the Bay Area. And I'm going to make a point. I don't want to diminish this news here about Patti Reising. It is significant. As I said, I wasn't a fan, but she was an integral part of what used to be a fantastic radio station, what used to be a radio station with terrific reporters and people who were great anchors. Times have changed, mechanics have changed, the entire landscape has changed. We hear that all the time. We're hearing it now. I'm sure in better times, Patti Reising probably would have stayed on a few more years and then retire, or then consider or take some kind of a buyout, an offer from management. But the case is the case. The situation is the situation. It's a significantly altering landscape that affects all these people. Again, I don't want to diminish the fact that although I wasn't personally a big fan of Miss Rising, I will acknowledge the fact that she built up a career here, did a fairly credible job, and for that alone should be noted. Spent a good deal of time doing a steady job, working with various people, sometimes working solo, but now, according to my source, tells me that there'll be an announcement soon, but you're going to get it here from Rich Lieberman first, because that's why you come here. You don't need the BS. You don't need the flowery kind of explanations. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot with regards to this move. You're getting a backstory. And let's just face it, the business is changing. I've just said this all along. And it's making moves like this. And this is not going to be the last, mind you. But it'll be interesting to see whether or not they replace Patti Reising. They might and very likely could put somebody on to pair with Burkhart as a last gap, kind of a last resort. That could be very short term. Nevertheless, won't know until the coming days. When I do know, I will get you the information. And once again, just to wrap it up here on a Monday night, veteran KCBS afternoon drive host, anchor, news anchor Patti Reising will be retiring from KCBS. Her last day is March 27th. On a personal note, wish her the best of luck in her next life. And you got it here first on the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.